Let's talk about one more thing. Do I have anyone else that wants to chime in about the? I don't see any hands up. Okay.
I want to know. I want to take a poll. If you're watching us on, I'm not even going to say the F word. I'm just calling it the F word for now. But if you're watching us on YouTube or listening on Clubhouse, have you ever posted something and realized you made a grammatical error? And has that error ever potentially cost you up to $250,000?
Yeah, this is a big one. So it happened in Australia. Guys, you just got to be careful of what you post. That's really, I mean, this happened in real estate. This could have happened in any industry. But you guys, I mean, you got to be careful of what you post. Real estate agent in hot water over costly missing apostrophe. So this guy is faced with hundreds of thousands of dollars in court cost after he neglected to place a critical apostrophe in a Facebook post bashing his former workplace. So here's what he said. I'll get right to it. He said, "Oh, Stuart Gann, selling multi-million money sign homes in Pearl Beach, but can't pay his employees superannuation. Shame on you, Stuart. 2 years and still waiting." So the superannuation is a regular payment made into a fund towards a pension, basically.
And we need to mention, by the way, this is in Australia.
Yeah, this is in Australia. This is not an American story. But basically, let me bring back up the article and I'll show you where this apostrophe, where he says the apostrophe should have been. It is it's right here.
Employees.
Right? It goes from employees plural to his employees singular.
Yeah.
Possessive, right? Because it is the employees superannuation.
And then that next paragraph right there says that, you know, so is this the brilliant move by the attorney, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is like, did his attorney come up with a brilliant move to say, "Oh no, it was just an apostrophe," or did he actually mean for this to happen? Right. It says that Gann's company followed. The difference in this apostrophe means that one followed a systematic pattern of conduct versus just that individual's own experience.
Right. An individual implies that was just with me. He didn't do it with everybody. But if I don't include the apostrophe, oh, he's doing with this everybody, and it's egregious. He's doing this on purpose.
The judge said to fail to pay one employee's superannuation entitlement might be seen as unfortunate. To fail to pay some or all of them looks deliberate. And so it could cost, this apostrophe could cost the guy $160,000 to $250,000.
And by the way, the article also mentions that this is in Australia. We're protected here in the Americas. Oh no, United States, because we have free speech. So just post whatever you want, guys. No one's going to try to cancel you.
You may have forgotten.
No, you can post whatever you want. No, just
not
anything.
If you're a member. Not if you're a member of the National Association of Realtors.
Oh,
you may have forgotten something that passed recently. Yeah, you cannot do that. All right, so let's go to the floods. Let's go to the flood talk.
By the way, do not forget the Oxford comma. Very, very important.
Yeah, it's a great song
too.
All right, let's talk about floods. 25% of infrastructure at risk of floods. The risk of floods across the U.S. is growing. About 25% of critical infrastructure, or about 36,000 facilities in the country, are at risk of becoming inoperable due to flood risk, according to a new report from First Street Foundation, the creators of the Flood Factor, a nationwide risk tool. 23% of road segments, or nearly 2 miles of road, are at risk of becoming impassable. Further, 20% of commercial properties, about 919,000, and 14% of residential properties, 12.4 million, are also at risk. All right, this is a quote from this company. Our work aims to determine the amount of flooding that would render infrastructure either inoperable or inaccessible. By applying research on depth thresholds and comparing them to flood data and probability metrics, we could determine roughly the extent of flooding that would cause a road to be impassable to cars or hospitals to be shut down. The report predicts that over the next 3 decades, 30 years, climate change will likely lead to a higher risk for an additional 1.2 million residential properties, 660,000 commercial properties, and 63,000 miles of road. So there you are. We talked about this in the past. That's why I wanted to bring it up again. We said, will the flood predictions based on climate change increase the premium? And I think that's probably what we're going to read next, is that these flood predictions have increased the premiums across the board. A increased premium also will hit affordability. So one of the things that people look at is if somebody can afford the home, is if they can also afford the insurance and taxes, and they take that into account with the monthly number. So if the insurance companies now increase the flood premium based on the future predictions due to climate change from this foundation, then we could say that affordability could get even worse in the future. Home prices might increase, but you could also say, if you're an investor and there's like a whole neighborhood that gets super bad flood marks, you could buy up that whole neighborhood. If you don't,
if you're an investor like Picasa.
Yeah. Or if you don't believe it will be flooded, like there. So, everybody can put their money where their mouth is in this situation.
Well, that's where I have the issue. I don't mind future numbers because it helps us hey, this could happen. So let's make sure we prepare for that. But where the issue comes in is we're not only just making sure we're prepared for that, we're now your flood insurance is $1,000 a month because future data that may or may not happen
in some area in Montana.
In some area in Montana. And it does, the article does mention all the high risk flood zones. And those are also historically high risk flood areas. So there's no surprise there. But when all of a sudden somewhere in Colorado, where they're a mile above everyone else, all of a sudden we're going to flood. Well, no, we're in the mountains. We don't have to worry about flooding, maybe an avalanche, but there's no avalanche numbers that are being talked about. So that's the issue is when then it goes, okay, some insurance company goes, okay, cool. Future flood data shows, well, then I'm going to raise my premium now for something that may or may not happen. And we're kind of strapped to the fact that we have to pay for this. It's very, very unfortunate in our country.
Well, and I hope one of the things that comes of this is legislation that allows people to choose a private flood insurance company and things like that, instead of being forced to use some government sponsored companies, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it seems like they're in the same bed together, which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. They call it bipartisan, but it's spelled BUY. All right.